Hey y'all.
Hi, happy to see you.
Good to see you, Renee. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has.
Oh my God, like a couple of years, I
Oh,
think.
yeah, it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I feel like whenever I saw you last, we still had Billy. So
yeah, yeah.
sweet, sweet
Wait,
memories.
Renee and I took the training together. I remember Renee.
Oh yeah. Oh, no way. Y'all were in the
Yeah,
same cohort?
yeah.
Okay, Lewis is a trainer with us now, Renee.
Oh,
So
cool.
I hope it's okay. I invited some of my trainers here just so that they could be a part of,
Hmm.
kind of for training purposes, but also if they want to add any information on what I'm gonna add. Yeah, is that cool?
Oh, no,
Is that
that's
okay?
fantastic.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah, the last time I saw you was Billy's wake, so that was fun.
that's right. Oh yeah. Wow, good times. Sweet Billy. Um, all right, well, what's up, y'all? Good to see you. Um,
Mhm.
Hey guys, I'm Albert. I'm also in your training right now.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Albert, good to see you.
You,
Are you in our 9
am I
or
on?
12? Are you in the 9 a.m. or the 12
Oh,
p.m.?
9 a.m.
You're in the 9 a.m. Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay, yeah. Can you give me a little background, Renee, on what I what I can do?
It's so we have some people interested in peer certification and just kind of discuss the process and how you teach it and what to expect and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, okay. Are we waiting for anyone else?
Maybe I know Leah's getting up for a meeting. She might pop in a little bit later, so we might
Okay.
give it like 2 more minutes.
Yeah, totally. That's cool with me. I
Hmm.
do not mind waiting.
Hmm.
If you can just let me know when you'd like me to get started.
Hmm.
I really don't have. Oh, nice. There's more of the team.
Yeah, so we'll start up pretty soon. I know she's caught up in a meeting, so she might pop in a little bit later. Um,
Okay. All right. That's
and we
perfect
are
for me.
recording, so
Cool with me. Just let me know when you'd like me to get started.
okay.
I take attendance real quick.
Go for it, Albert
Thank you. Okay. Um. Okay, we got Jess. Jess, what is your last name?
Miller.
Okay, thank you.
Let me actually see.
Matthew, what is your last name?
Jakubowski.
Okay. Let's see.
All right, I think you're free to start if you'd like.
Okay. Well, sorry, excuse me. Um, all right, well, hey everyone. Good to see you. I don't know a couple of you, but maybe hopefully I will get to know a couple of you in the future. My name is Jess. Me and Maria and Lewis and Melissa are all trainers here at Sheriff for our 80-hour Medi-Cal peer support specialist training. And yeah, I guess we're also here to answer questions if anyone has questions, but um, I think what I'm going to do is just give you a brief overview of like what the training is about, um, and the steps that you'll need to take to complete the training. So all of you work with TMHA, is that right?
Yes.
Does everyone here work with TMHA? Okay.
Maybe not. Let's see here. I don't know about Matthew, but maybe.
Okay.
I live with Tima.
All right, cool.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, part of the training, the 80-hour Medi-Cal peer support specialist training is there's kind of two parts to it. For folks who are already employed in the behavioral health workforce, the goal is to kind of give them more training around peer support and end goal to hopefully get them their state certification so that they can become certified Medi-Cal peer support specialists in California. That means like taking a state exam and taking a full 80-hour training and then taking a state exam afterward. And then from there, you would renew every 2 years just to like keep your certification active. The other part is for people who are not currently employed. The idea is to hopefully get them employed in the behavioral health workforce, giving them job support, placement support, as well as taking the training too, and getting their state certification as well. So those are the two populations that we really serve. And for the people who aren't currently employed, we have like a career counselor who will typically work with them and try to um, really help them nail down those areas in their job search that they're either struggling with or they would like to practice in a little bit more. Maybe you need support with cover letter, resume building. Um, yeah, so those are the two major goals. We have trained quite a lot of people from TMA, and which I actually think I've met one before. I feel like Albert right now is in our training, and yeah, I've been training for Share for roughly 2 years, and I really love it. We do an online training and an in-person training, and I think the online training, despite it being virtual and being online, I do think it captures what we're trying to get across and train people on really well. So I guess I'm going to share this document with y'all so that you have an idea of kind of what to expect. So I think I can share. Can I share, Renee? Do you know if I can?
I think so. Albert, you have all
Yeah.
right. Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
see it. I see
Okay.
it on my end.
So we have trainings 4 times a year, and these trainings are rough for online training. It's roughly about 8 weeks long. Or I'm sorry, it is 8 weeks long. For in-person training, which it's not really, we're not at this time doing travel or travel reimbursement for folks. So it's most likely that all of you will, if not already, will take the online training. Although we do have an in-person training, it happens in Culver City. It's the only location we train in. Um, so the I guess the information I'll probably show you right now is for the online training only. If anyone is particularly interested in in-person training, then I would probably request that maybe we talk about those details on a phone call or in a separate meeting. But um, the upcoming training that we have right now is in January 2026, and we have funders that allow us to offer scholarships for people. Um, Now, the scholarship usually requires a prerequisite, and that prerequisite is specifically having to attend 10 self-help support groups before the training begins. In this case, for the January 2026 training, that prereq would be due by January 3rd. Now, historically with TMA, we have kind of had gosh, I can't remember who kind of our liaison was before, like who we worked with before. I don't think she's with TMA any longer, but historically we have been really flexible around this prerequisite with TMA, and still are to this day. I think right now we're training some people who are a part of different I think a High Roads grant with TMA, so people who are doing like an internship program, and then we're also just training regular staff at TMA right now. Um, We've been kind of flexible around this prerequisite and the self-help support group requirement, which I'll kind of explain in a little bit, because a lot of people are taking this training as a requirement for their job, right? And so attending a self-help support group while they're at work isn't really ideal for a supervisor or for an employer. And because of that, in the past, we have allowed TMA trainees to actually count the support groups that TMA hosts themselves, as long as that person is not leading that group themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So I can't think of like, I think maybe some groups that you'll have are like, maybe, I think you'll have a suicide prevention support group. Is that right? I think y'all maybe have a rap one too. I'm not too sure. Um, but I have historically allowed people to count those in the past. If for some reason if they don't attend self-help support groups themselves just outside of work, or if going to self-help support groups while at work is not really ideal. So I do want to
We
like
do have stuff like Hope House, which do have meetings and that kind of thing. So that would be
perfect. Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. So what we typically define as a self-help support group are I think the most basic example I usually give is like AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, I recognize not everybody's an alcoholic, so maybe that's not relevant to you. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of other self-help support groups that exist for people with all kinds of issues. And we often encourage people to go to self-help support groups that are applicable to their life. So peer support is all about helping people who are struggling with, mental health, substance use issues, homelessness, justice involvement, the list goes on, trauma, all of these things, relationship issues. Um, and typically, a peer support specialist is somebody that has lived experience in any, if not, if one or several of those areas. And so we often ask that if you do go to the self-help support groups and you are able to do this requirement, that you go to groups that are applicable to your life. So I am personally a recovering heroin addict, and I've been sober for about 6 years, and I still go to Heroin Anonymous. So that's just that's a self-help support group that works for me and helps me with my actual issues, right? Um, One of the reasons why we require this is because self-help support groups are like the foundation of peer support, I would say. And this training is all about training you on how to um, have relationships that are based fully in peer support. And a great place to learn that is self-help support groups. That's where you're going to get like the authentic experience of being around people who share the same lived experience as you and are actively seeking for support in those areas. So that is one of the reasons why we have this as a requirement. If you do end up going to any of the groups that TMA hosts themselves, I do highly recommend like going to a group, one that you're not leading yourself, but two, you can be co-leading it. I think we've allowed that in the past, like if you were like a co-facilitator in that particular support group, but definitely going to ones that like are applicable to your life, right? Um, so we do require that prereq. I think we have waived this prereq for interns that are a part of a high roads training program. So if you are someone that is a part of a high roads training program with TMA or with Mental Wellness Center, I believe, then that prerequisite isn't required. If you are not a part of that, this prereq is required. We offer a lot of support. We usually send you, like, once you register for our training, we'll typically send you the form and like all the things that you need in order to like successfully complete this. And once you complete it, that's what earns you the scholarship that pays for the $1,600 training itself. The scholarship also covers the cost of your application fee for getting your state certification, which is $100, and then your exam fee to get your state certification, which is $150. So basically, doing the prerequisite, you take this training completely at no cost to you. Yes, I don't know your name. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm Kate. I took your training, I think, when was it? January of 2024. And I run Hope House Wellness Center, so that's where we have our peer support groups. And
Mhm.
I know in the past the condition was that it shouldn't be run by like a paid facilitator for it to be the peer support group. Is that aspect waived now for this new condition of like for example, I lead the Living Well with Bipolar group on Wednesdays, or we have like a befriending emotions support group, things
Sure.
like that. And then we
Mhm.
also have groups that are run by volunteers that are the more like traditional peer support model, but
Yeah.
are do all those count? And the second question, even if the 10 prerequisite groups don't have to happen, is the 20 still the overall goal for the training as a whole?
So I think to answer your first question, if they are taking if they're attending these groups as a part of TMA's program, we expect that it's going to have a paid facilitator. If you are going, the only thing we couldn't count is if you're going to go to these groups as a part of another organization. And hi, Kate. Sorry, I didn't even say hi to you. Hey, good to see you. Um, does that make sense? Like, so let's say you have like gosh, what's a program out there? I can't even think of a program in San Luis Obispo. Let's say people assisting the homeless. PATH was a part of there were programs for PATH out there, and you wanted to go to some of their any support groups that they hosted as part of this requirement. I would not count anything that had a paid facilitator. Only if it's part of TMA itself is what I would count. Does that make sense?
That's great.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, what was your other question? What was your second one?
So yeah, so the 10 group prerequisite has been waived, but it's the overall goal of doing 20 in the whole cohort.
So it is waived if, again, right, like if you're a part of the High Roads grant where ultimately, like if there's an intern that takes the training, like we have a couple of interns right now through Mental Wellness Center and TIMA that are taking the training and because we are invoicing TIMA for those people. Basically, TIMA is paying out-of-pocket costs for the training. They don't have to do the prerequisite, and they also don't have to attend the 10 during the training itself. So if they are not a part of that, then they do have to do those two.
Gotcha. That makes
We're just more flexible around those requirements. So like for anyone else who's not really a part of TIMA, we wouldn't allow them to go to a support group that has a paid facilitator leading it. So that's kind of the flexibility with TIMA around this requirement. So I guess yes, like if to answer your question, they would still have to do 20 as long as there's no out-of-pocket cost being paid for them by themselves or as a part of another program.
cool.
Does that make sense?
Thanks for answering that.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Thanks. That's a great question. Um, okay, any other questions around the prereq? No? We are also like always here to help throughout and like we're at least we try to be as responsive as possible via email. So you're always welcome to call or text or email us if you do have a question that comes up later. Right now, so around scheduling is kind of what I'm going to shift into. For online training, we do start Tuesday, January 13th, and we end March 5th. Um, Training happens, and I think Kate, you're probably familiar with it. Maybe Juan, you are too. Um, we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for 8 weeks. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we will be on Zoom for 2.5 hour sessions. And you will either be a part of the 9 to 11:30 a.m. session, which I think Albert is a part of right now, or you can be a part of the 12 to 2:30 p.m. session. We can also be flexible around that. Like, let's say you have a meeting that you have to go to one day. It's like, a meeting that you have once or twice during the training. You can also like make up that day and attend the 12 or vice versa. Um, you can miss up to 5 days of training and your attendance will still meet the minimum requirement needed to complete the training. Um, and again, like we're also, we're pretty flexible around this as well, especially with TMA. We just love TMA and we always want y'all taking our training. So we can be flexible around that, especially when it comes to work stuff. But um, all we really ever need is like communication prior. If you can email or like call beforehand, that's really all we ask for. Um, Sometimes we try to offer an evening cohort, which in my experience with TMA folks, they haven't been able to even do that one anyway, so maybe it's not relevant. Um, just because I think most of them are taking it while they're on the clock. So right now I know for sure we will definitely have both of these time slots available this coming January. Um, we do have a registration link. All of this information is actually sent once a person registers at this link here, which I can send you all this. Um, Actually, I wonder if Melissa or Lewis, could either of you put the online registration link in the chat for folks? So we'll put it there too, just in case any of you want it right now. Once you register, though, all of this stuff is kind of sent to you via email, and we do offer like an orientation if you want to attend one of those. None of you would have to go to it, especially because we're doing this today. So that's in-person training information. So I kind of want to move into like what you have to actually do during the course. Let me make sure that is it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Melissa. So during the course, attendance, um, participation and attendance are a part of like the overall requirement. We do ask that when you're taking the training that we can see your face. Sometimes like we're even cool if like you do that number or like, some people are camera shy, that's okay. We do ask to see you though to confirm attendance. At the same time, I recognize that some of you are at work. You might have a person being served behind you that you don't want on camera, and obviously that's okay, and that we're flexible around that too. Um, Again, the 10 self-help support groups that we mentioned earlier is still part of the requirement if you are not part of the High Roads grant. So this is separate from the prerequisite, right? So you would have to attend 10 self-help support groups by January 3rd. That's the prereq. And then you would have to attend 10 self-help support groups by March 31st, which is basically when everything is due for the training. That's the deadline is March 31st. And remember, the training would end March 5th. So you have like a little over 3 weeks to like turn everything and get everything done. Um, these last 10 groups, we do want them to be specific to a group called Recovery International, which we train you on and we'll teach you on the first week of training. If for some reason there's an issue around attending these meetings, during the training itself and going to RI is really difficult. I do want to just like or your supervisor, some issue around it with your supervisor not allowing you to attend during hours or any of those things. I do encourage you to reach out to me or have your supervisor reach out to me so that we can kind of figure out a compromise and then figure out a way around it so that you can still successfully finish the training. In addition to that, we do have some self-paced, self-guided modules that you would complete on your own on a learning platform. I have had a lot of people finish it in like one sitting. Sometimes I've had people do like maybe a self-guided module in its quiz, once a week or twice a week. Whatever that looks like for you is totally up to you. There are also other quizzes that those are going to be our major module quizzes that we study together. So we'll study 8 modules together in live instruction training, and each of those modules will also have a quiz. Um, and then at the end, we do have a final. It's like a 40-question final. Um, we try not to like trick you or like make it too challenging. It's more of kind of a practice. So that you've got a little bit of practice with taking an exam or a final that kind of puts a little pressure on you so that by the time you take your state exam, you feel a little bit more prepared for it. We also have something called a plan for success. That's basically a 5-year plan, and we kind of will explain that once we get to that actual that actual module. And then for my people who are not working in the field, we typically require a 60-hour internship. Now, if you're already working with TMA and you're already employed, then that internship is completely waived and you automatically get points for it. If you are not working with TMA, but you're doing hours there or you're already a volunteer there, then you can if you are already with TMA upon registering, then that is also waived as well. If you are, if anyone that you refer to our training takes it because they're a member at TMA, and they're not like a part of volunteering at TMA, um, then we would require them to submit a 60-hour internship, whether it be through Transitions Mental Health Association or through another agency. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so those are all of the things that you would need to do to fully complete the training. Once you finish all of those things, we basically give you a piece of paper that says it's a certificate of completion and it says Renee Peterson completed the 80-hour Medi-Cal peer support specialist training, and that is the piece of paper that you will use to show Cal Mesa. You'll show it to the state so that you can proceed with applying for and taking your state exam. Um, yeah, I mean that's really the gist of it all. Everything ultimately is due on March 31st. If something like comes up or like life circumstances happen, all you have to do is reach out to us. And again, like we will, work with you around that. We try to like keep this as like stress-free and pressure-free as possible because attending a live instruction training is a lot and you have to dedicate a lot of time to it, especially if you're already working or looking for a job. Our ultimate goal is to help you finish it and be able to take the state exam in a way that you feel confident in yourself when taking. So yeah, that's what I got. Does anyone have questions so far? Any further information you want me to explain?
Uh, no, no. I think we could talk a little bit about some of our experiences going through the training.
Yeah, I would love that. Oh, that would be cool.
Because it's interesting because seeing how some of the stuff has changed. Because when I did it, it was I went through the 10 uh 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 support classes while I was going through class, and there
Hmm.
wasn't one that was prerequisite at the time.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, and at the time, since I wasn't formally an intern yet, I had to go in person. So I had to, so
That's right.
yes. So, but it was, I do recommend it if you can go down in person because the share and how they do things and the culture's a bit different.
Hmm.
Meeting all sorts of different people from different backgrounds. It was really educational and quite fun. So,
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Renee. Yeah, it was fun I actually prefer the in-person training. I think it's a really good learning experience and it gives you like I feel like it gives everyone really hands-on experience with um interacting with people who are have different worldviews and
mhm.
different opinions and I mean don't get me wrong, the online training is very much the same, but I think just having that like in-person peer-to-peer experience is can sometimes be a little bit more meaningful. Um yeah, we did not have a prerequisite before. This was like a new thing that we added. Um, ultimately because we wanted to try to enforce like some level of commitment upon taking the training. It was kind of a lot of people would sign up and then not really commit to it. And so we figured if we did a prerequisite and folks are instead earning their own scholarship, that they would be more committed to completing the training. Um, yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we kind of switched it. So I actually think it's easier because I think once they do that, they knock out 10 of them, and then by the time the
Mhm.
group starts, they don't have
Yeah.
20 to do, they only have 10 to do. So
Yeah,
it's
I
actually
remember that that there was a lot of stress in getting those meetings
yeah.
done in that amount of time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I remember everybody was really worried about getting all those meetings done.
Yeah.
Having half of them done already, that does help a lot.
Yeah. I agree. It is kind of it's like the last thing people always turn in, I
Mhm.
will say. So, which makes sense. It
Mhm.
totally makes sense. So,
And also because some of the people, at least when I was there, they hadn't been to any of those meetings before, especially the Recovery International ones. And so it was, I think, a little intimidating for people. So I
yeah.
definitely get the logic.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, RI is definitely Recovery International is definitely still part of the process. So
Hmm.
I do think what I think is really great about this requirement is that you can and I hope that everyone who does complete it decides for themselves whether this group is for them or not. And I think it's totally okay to decide, like, maybe this isn't a support group for me. But getting that experience so that whenever you are working with people who might have very specific needs or very a kind of support that they would really benefit from, you would know if RI would work for them or not, whether Recovery
Hmm.
International would be actually a beneficial group to them in their recovery process. So, um, yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually really love our training and I really believe in the curriculum and um I think most of the learning itself happens in the training itself, which is why attendance and participation are ultimately a part of your overall grade. Um, I think that is where the learning really happens more than the quizzes, more than the side assignments, more than the studies we reference, any of those things. I think it's ultimately in the discussions that you have when you're engaging with each other in the training. So, and the breakouts, I think the breakouts are
Hmm.
pretty
Yeah, I
good. So,
still vividly remember that experience,
yeah.
and some of the stuff that were people said.
Yeah. Yeah. I do always recommend folks do the evaluation at the end of our training. It's not required, but we do like always like beg people to complete it just because it's really helpful to us to know what went well, what didn't go well, what could have gone better, what things can we improve or work on. Um, yeah, I forgot to mention when Renee mentioned coming to Culver City, that also used to be like a pretty strict requirement. And we used to fund that, right? Like we would pay for um, travel, whether it was by train or plane, and hotel, for folks from out of county to come to LA County and take the in-person training because the in-person training happens every other weekend. Unfortunately, we don't do that anymore. Our funding doesn't really cover that anymore. So, which is kind of lame because it was I think it's a lot of fun to get people from out of county, not just in LA County, to do an in-person training together. So, um, yeah, it kind of is lame. We don't do it anymore, but I'm glad you got the experience, Renee. So,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it was great because it was some people from here in San Luis Obispo County. There are a couple from northern Santa Barbara County. There were some down from San Diego. That
yeah,
it was all over the place.
yeah,
And of course, the LA area, not just LA County, but it was also some in like Orange County and what have you.
yeah. Riverside. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I actually liked from SLO, like if you're coming from San Luis Obispo, a lot of the folks would actually take like the train too.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
took the
It's pretty
train.
cool.
Mhm,
Yeah. That's like fun. I think it's more fun than having to go to an airport. So,
mhm.
um, yeah, I mean, does anyone, I know Juan, you took the training. Melissa, you took the training, although Melissa is a trainer now. Um, Lewis also took the training and is a trainer now, but I mean, Kate and Albert, I don't know if any of y'all want to share your experience with other people here. You don't have to, but
Oh,
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share a little about my experience. Can you hear me all right?
yeah,
Thank you. Um, yeah, you know, we're in our third week, I believe, and it's, I find it very, very interesting, especially like the history of like how the peer movement started and stuff like that. And interacting with the other folks there is very interesting and it's fun. It's kind of fun, you know. Not only it can be fun, and yeah, it's just learning all the different aspects of it was has been really good for me.
yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad. I think, yeah, you're also only 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
So, which I would say this week is actually a pretty important week because we talk about motivational interviewing, and that is like hands down a requirement that the state demands. The state really wants everyone to know about motivational interviewing. So, yeah, I think once you get through at least half the training is really when you can start capturing peer support, like I would say on a larger level, because I think like in module 6 we'll start talking about relationships and like how complex relationships are when you work in this field, right? Like it's not super easy to interact with people who are like irate or pissed off or having a bad day or don't trust others easily. And I think that our curriculum really touches pretty well on like how to how to how to manage those relationships and how to like manage a situation and um so that maybe it doesn't escalate into uh any kind of like violence or harm toward others or themselves. So, and then I will say too, Albert, we talk about suicide and trauma like on the last 2 weekends of the training. So those are usually more intense conversations. But I think I feel like I walk away every time, even as a trainer, learning a lot more about others and about the subject matter.
Yeah.
Um, Literally every single time I train on it. And so I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that it'll be a good learning experience, despite it being kind of a painful topic for folks. So um, yeah. So does yeah, I guess if no one has questions, Renee, I think the only thing I was really going to share here is this last little bit of information on Medi-Cal certification. And
Yeah,
um,
and you can also share what like a little bit of the curriculum, like what to expect on each week, that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think I kind of have it right
Mm-hmm.
here in front of us. I think again, right, we study 8 modules together, and module 1 is really like kind of like what Albert said, right? Like we talk about the roots of the peer movement, so it kind of starts with the history behind peer services and like where did peer support really start? Looking at our history in behavioral health. Um, what are the roots of like in the origins of peer support services? Which I actually really love that segment as well. And then the rest of that module is really like a total orientation. It's just a bunch of information and it's like the week where people ask a lot of questions. Um, and then each module kind of has its own focus. So module 2, and in every single module, we reference the Medi-Cal Code of Ethics, which you'll become more familiar with once you take the training. And then we also reference a different set of tools in each module as well as it relates to the topic of the week. So module 2 is mostly about cultural humility and structural competence. Um, module 3 is really all about like recovery planning. This is where you would do a plan for success. You learn a little bit about WRAP, wellness recovery action plans, and the big one being motivational interviewing. We spend a lot of time in module 3 like practicing the tools of motivational interviewing so that you can hopefully try to make it a part of your toolkit when you're working with people and it kind of becomes natural as a part of your vocabulary. Um, Module 4 is all about community. It's all about social networking. Um, 5 is mostly about substance use and mental health specifically. We do talk about sex addiction in that module. We talk about co-occurring in that module, and primarily the resources and support groups that exist for all of those areas. 6 is kind of where I feel everything from all of these former modules come together because it's all about relationships and recovery. Um, how do we escape power struggles with people? Again, like how do you work with somebody who's really pissed off or irate? How do you try to build trust and connection with somebody who like doesn't make any sense, right? And how do you try to make sense of what they're saying? Um, and how do you still approach them without being authoritative and um, without judgment ultimately? Um, and then 7 and 8 are kind of the more intense modules, and the reason why we save them for the end is primarily because we think that by the end of taking, or I'm sorry, by 7 and 8, you've already gone through modules 1 through 6. You've done all these breakouts with each other. You've had all these really difficult, controversial discussions with one another. And by 7 and 8, you've kind of built the resilience to be able to handle hard conversations that can kind of be really triggering for people. So 7, you talk a lot about trauma and trauma-informed care, and then in module 8 is primarily about suicide prevention. So
And I'll add that it's the other modules are to build tools to help you with the serious subject matters that will pop up with 7 and 8. So
yeah. Yeah, love that you know that. Yeah, very much. Hopefully, so, definitely it's good to pay attention throughout because, I recognize that pretty much every single person who takes this training is somebody who has experienced trauma on some level or somebody who has maybe even have been impacted by suicide in some way, whether it's directly or indirectly. And these are really triggering topics for people, especially as you are kind of like always working on yourself and your own recovery. I know I really am like I mean, I do the whole 9 yards. I go to self-help support groups. I take medication. I go to therapy. I do all of the things that keep me well. And in my opinion, all of those things for me help me show up at work better, and help me show up for people better so that I can actually engage in those discussions and still be supportive. So, um, yeah, that's what I got.
all right,
Any-
I know some people have already completed the exam and the registering. So if anybody has, go ahead and let us know how that went, if you're
yeah.
okay with that.
Have you taken the state exam,
Not yet.
Renee? You're not, you have not, you have not. Yeah,
No,
has
I'm in the process of doing that.
good,
I
yeah.
actually have my old binder right here.
Nice. Oh, I love to see it.
So,
We work hard
so
on those.
So yeah, I have
Um,
my binder right here. Right now I need to register and then take the final. I mean the exam. So
yeah,
in the
totally.
process of doing that. Right now I'm going back and studying everything again. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
that's
does
why I was
anyone?
curious, like how did that
I'm not
go?
my experience. I did the test last year. I did it last year. I feel like it might have been even earlier than that. I'm forgetting the timeline, but I felt super prepared. It was great. I feel like the whole training and the practice test and all the different modules set it up very well to just get in there. I think you had a large chunk of time, but I was able to finish it pretty
Yeah.
quickly and heard back immediately, I think, that I passed. So
Yeah.
certainly for us at Hope House and the wellness centers, the certification is super helpful because it allows us to have that different qualification for our Medi-Cal billing, which super supports our center. So all around, since I got certified, it's changed the trajectory of what we've been able to do by a lot.
Nice. Can I actually ask, are y'all already doing Medi-Cal billing, or are you trying to get in the process of being able to do that?
Yeah, we've been doing it now my whole time. I mean, since I
Wow.
got peer certified.
Yeah,
We were already doing the documentation process, but now it's coded differently because of the
sure. Provider type. Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Admittedly, Share is not billing Medi-Cal yet. We are trying to get a Medi-Cal contract for peer services so that, um, especially for our peer support specialists that work at our peer run respites. So, man, I should email you, Kate. I should email you and try to pick your brain about that a little bit because that's really cool.
yeah.
Oh, and one thing you wanted to get into was about the Medi-Cal part of the certification, which you have right here. You can go into that.
Yeah, totally. So I'm really glad that Kate just added that information about studying for the state exam because that is an area I totally forgot to mention. We've had a lot of really good feedback from all people who have taken the state exam already, who have said really good things about our practice exam. From what I know about other training providers, there aren't many training providers that actually offer a practice exam. And really, the practice exam that we offer is 117 questions long, and you can take it as many times as you want to practice. The state exam itself is 120 questions long. So we tried to make them kind of match in length so that it would feel like good enough practice. Um, and this is good for you to know too, Renee, which is I would really focus on using the practice exam.
Hmm.
We made that practice exam based off of Cal Mesa's existing practice questions, which Cal Mesa has 32 of their own practice questions. And Cal Mesa is also the creators of the state exam. So
Hmm.
those 32 practice questions like do everything. Like
Hmm.
honestly, when I took the state exam, they only had 16 of them at the time. And I hadn't even taken this training because I was grandfathered in.
Hmm.
Um, so all I really had was the 16 Cal Mesa practice questions and my training here as a staff member, as a peer specialist. And those practice questions helped me immensely. So
Hmm.
we took them from Cal Mesa's study guide, their own study guide, and we added them to our practice tests. So they are in there, but I also highly recommend looking at Cal Mesa's study guide, which those 32 practice questions are included in that large document, but I actually recommend doing that over studying modules 1 through 8 or any of the self-guided modules because we actually recently had somebody there aren't a lot of people who have failed the state exam after taking our training. Usually if the out of like the 5 people I know who have failed, we usually try to um get an idea of like what it was that they studied. Maybe did they look at the wrong information? Did they focus on one area too much? Did they not get accommodations? And most of the people um, studied the wrong stuff. And we are we are very, very specific in our email around what you need to study. And so I highly, highly recommend like reading through that email thoroughly so that you get your mind kind of in the right place when it comes to language and when it comes to question style, so that when you take the state exam, you feel successful and ready. So yeah, I had somebody who only studied modules 1 through 8 and she ended up not passing. So I don't recommend
Interesting.
studying only modules 1 through 8. Modules 1 through 8 are going to help you, but studying them alone is not what's going to help
Mhm.
you. Like it's that practice exam and the Cal Mesa study guide that are really going to do it for you.
All
That
right. Yeah.
modules 1 through 8 really help you learn peer support, but defining and explaining peer support through 120 question state exam is not easy, right? Like
No,
that's
it's
kind
not.
of a it's a
Mhm.
very different vibe, right? It's a very different vibe when you have it, in an academic sense and then in an actual peer environment,
Yeah.
in a peer environment way. So yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, I remember that is and that reinforces things as well, just to really take that exam over and over and
totally. Yeah. Yeah, highly recommend. So, and then we are there the whole way through, y'all. Like we give you access to Moodle throughout until you pass the state exam. And then if you just want like some guidance or just someone to talk to around stress levels, like taking a state exam is super stressful. I was really anxious about it, and just like being able to talk it out with somebody was really helpful. So we are here the whole way through, literally all the way until the end, and even after when you're trying to renew your certification. Like I kind of always tell our trainees, like once you take our training, you're tied to us for life, and like you can always contact us for anything. So, um, yeah. So hopefully that's helpful. I am hopeful it is.
Mhm. Well, for those how does the recertification process kind of go? Right, since you said it was every 2 years.
Yeah, you do have to. CalMace is pretty specific on their website, which this is their website here. Um, um, every 2 years, you have to renew your state certification by completing 20 hours of continuing education. And that can look like a lot of different things. 6 of those 20 hours have to be law and ethics, on the subject of law and ethics. So whatever training that you take, I would make sure that they at least have 6 hours of law and ethics in it. And whatever like confirmation that you get that says, hey, I took this 20-hour training, make sure that it specifies that it includes 6 hours of law and ethics. So,
Okay.
but that kind of training can be taken. I think I think they're pretty vague about it on their website. And like not they're not vague about it, but it just seems like that 20 hours can come from almost anywhere as long as it's approved by Cal Mesa. So let's say you're renewing and you took your training through, I don't know, some other organization in the behavioral workforce. Maybe you did it on Zoom and it included 6 hours of law and ethics, and the other 20 plus hours or 14 plus hours were on peer support services in some way. Um, uh, Gosh, I lost my train of thought. But basically, like if you're gonna use that, oh, if you're gonna use it through a specific employer, a specific like company, I would actually, for me, if I'm not sure, and CalMesa's website doesn't specifically say like this is an approved continuing education provider, training provider, I would just email them and ask them like, hey, I took this training. I did 20 hours of it. 6 of those hours were law and ethics. Can you accept this to renew my certification? So CountMace is pretty responsive. They're like pretty easy to just reach out to, and they'll answer your questions.
All right.
Yeah.
And to anybody who is in the process of recertification or has, feel free to let us know how that went if you want to share.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a manager, so I help people recertify quite frequently.
Hmm.
It's been pretty easy. I think the one thing that I would say as far as like advice would be that sorry, I just climbed up a flight of stairs, so I'm a little bit like
It's all right.
would be that you just attest that you took all of your training. So what I tell my staff is keep all of your training in a folder with your certifications of completion. If you have if you work for an agency, TMA has Relias, and so you can print out a transcript of all the trainings that you took. Keep that. Keep it logged away just in case they ever do audit you. But it's a pretty painless thing. You're just going to go, you're going to sign up, you're going to pay, and you're good to go. And you're just attesting that you took all of your training. But just keep that documentation just in case they come back and be like, did you really take the 20 hours? Like, yes, I did. Here's all my certificates. Here's my Relias transcripts, whatever type of management software you use,
Yeah.
just in case.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a great note to make. Yes. Yeah, oddly, whenever I renewed, they did not ask me to show proof of that continuing ed. Although I did take it and I do have the proof, which Trista, I totally agree with. Like, save that, y'all. Save it so that if they do come back, because I don't know when or if they will ever come back and say, hey, you know, because my certification is active in the state right now. So if they ever want to come back and you actually show proof, you'll just have it on hand for sure. Yeah, that's such a good point to make because all I did was get on the website and I just renewed by uh, almost like filling out, I think I filled out a shorter version of an application again, and then I paid an $80 fee, and that was it. And then, yeah, I attested to the fact that I did do 20 hours or more of continuing ed in law and ethics. So, um, yeah, it is so painless. You're so right. It was like really easy. So,
So there's besides the law and ethics, there's no other like specific um type of training, just have to be like peer support training of any kind, basically, or
from what I understand, yes. I think they want it to be centered around peer support services, no doubt. And then yes, the 6 hours of law and ethics. So it's basically like a way of like I think they consider like after 2 years of getting your state certification, you're out of practice of peer support unless you've taken some sort of continuing education training on peer support services. And so I think that they're pretty flexible around like any kind. So, like I think any of the like the training trainings that we have as an organization, I think they would even accept that. Granted, we're an approved training provider, so that could well be the reason. I'm not sure. But I do think like I'm trying to think of an example of a training that someone has used before. It was like totally separate from Medi-Cal peer support training. Um, Gosh, I think it was just like an internal training within their organization. Or maybe, or no, I'm sorry. I think it was trainings that they took as part of like this peer conference, and they did like all these different workshops and trainings within it. I think they were able to like count that as well. So,
okay.
yeah.
All right. And to be recertified, you have to pay money for that? How does that work?
Yes, yeah, you do have to pay an $80 fee. It's basically the same way it works when you pay the application and the exam fee upon initial certification. But you basically just pay using a card through your account. You might be able to mail in a check. Yeah, I'm not sure. You might be able to. I would imagine you can, but um, yeah, that's the only thing. You got to pay an $80 fee every time you renew.
All right. I'm trying to think of any other questions so I can be as thorough as possible here.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
I was just gonna
mm,
say, explore with your age. If you're employed with that for an agency and you are doing peer work and you're like billing or anything like that, explore with your agency if they have certification credits. You know, there are certain agencies that will provide that. TMHA is one. We will actually pay for the recertification of our
Nice.
peer staff because it's integral to our funding streams. And so, you know, just it's always worth an ask. Reach out to your HR department, reach out to your supervisor, your manager, wherever you work, and just like, hey, is there any funds for that? And hey, you might be pleasantly surprised. If not, then you know, but definitely always worth an ask. The worst they can say is no.
Yeah. Nice. Yes. Love that y'all cover it. Very cool. Um,
I have a question.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I will say to Cal Mesa, I would encourage y'all to like take a look at Cal Mesa's website every once in a while. They often will have like random moments where they give out scholarships for people to take and a 20 hours of continuing ed through any of the training providers, whether it be Share or through like Painted Brain or you know LMU, right? And they have scholarships that might cover the cost of either the $80 fee, renewal fee, or the $1,600 training itself, or even the cost of there are specialization trainings that one can take once they're certified in the state, which Share has. We're approved to offer all four of them. But right now we are only actively accepting folks for the parent caregiver family member one. There's no funding for it right now for through our organization itself, so we don't have scholarships for it. But Cal Mesa, for example, they just had a period where they were giving out scholarships, I think for the month of September, I believe. It just ended. That round of scholarships just ended, but a lot of people were able to get some extra training for free at no cost through them. So yeah, I would take a look. Definitely, as Trista said, ask your employer, and if not, maybe check out Cal Mesa's website to see.
and
Because
that would
they,
be the link down here that says capeercertification.org, right?
yes, yeah,
All
the
right.
same place that you would go to apply for state certification.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
I have
Eh,
one question for Trista. Um, does TMA provide any of that training that would entail the law and ethics part of it?
Yes. You'll see frequent emails from like Chad Keever, sometimes Meg Matson, and they will let you know like when law and ethics are available through us. That is another thing that you would just talk to your supervisor about. TMA specific. We do pay for trainings, and so that's something to talk to your supervisor about, saying, "Hey, I need this for my certification," and then seeing if we can work that into the budget. Also, you know, we really kind of contacted Cal Mesa early on, just asking for more clarification on like the trainings that you need for recertification. We got back some pretty vague answers and pushed them again. And we kind of push them every year. But a lot of like the Relias trainings or just like work with individuals in particular can count. So like a lot of like the LGBTQIA trainings that help like how to work with an LGBTQIA, okay, sorry,
mhm.
individual in helping them like, you know, with stress or de-escalation, and those can count towards your recertification because you're learning how to work with an individual and a lot of the stuff is just it mirrors peer support because you're just looking how to help someone individually. So you know, if you're a team employee and you're on here, you can definitely just touch base with me and we can talk about your kind of transcripts or the trainings that you have to see which ones are eligible. That's kind of what I do with my staff is I'll go through, I have them bring me their stack of certifications and their Relias records, and we'll go through and we'll highlight the ones that are more geared towards that peer training, and then count up the hours to make sure that they have the the required amount of hours, and then, yeah, just making sure they save them on a desktop or in a thumb drive so that they have them just in case they're ever audited.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
I'm going to stop sharing.
I guess that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. I am also always happy to do this, just FYI, because again, we love Tima and we're always happy to like try to orient folks even individually if like anyone there wasn't able to come here and they just have questions, please feel free to give them our emails. Mine, Lewis, and Melissa. Melissa and Lewis, will you put your email in the chat? And then I'll put my own as well. Yeah, just reach out to us and we are happy to like help along the way throughout them either getting registered or if they're in the middle of the training or even if they finish the training, even if they finish the training through another provider, that is totally cool. Like if we can help and you want to answer questions about that process, yeah, just contact us and we'll
Yeah,
help you
because I'm
out
a
if we
little
can.
intimidated on registering from the site and then figuring out where to take the test and that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, we'll help you. We'll walk you through it, Renee, if you need us. So, yeah, you can just call me or email me first and then we can
yeah,
like
I'll go ahead
schedule a
and do
call.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I really
Okay.
want to get the test done by December. So,
Yeah, yeah, you got this. You're gonna do fine. We'll get you there.
all right, fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
great seeing Lewis again. Hi. Yeah, we sat next to each other, and Lewis just got hired. So.
Yeah. Well, he just became a trainer, actually. But how long have you been here, Lewis? Over a year, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, good to see you, Renee,
Mhm.
Albert, good to see you, Kate, good to see you, and Trista, you too. And it was really lovely to meet the rest of you. Um, yeah, take it easy. You'll have a good week.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
Yeah, I
Okay.
know some members of Tima were interested in this meeting, so we do have it recorded, and we'll go ahead and get that available on our YouTube channel when we can.
Nice.
Right.
Uh, Jess, I'm sorry. Let me shameless plug. We have a Spanish training as well. I don't know.
Oh,
I think we forgot to mention that, but it's same training but in Spanish. Just
oh,
FYI.
that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
we're the
Thank you,
only.
Lewis.
And
You're welcome. We're
and
the only organization that offers it in Spanish in California.
oh, cool.
Just FYI.
That
Yeah.
is impressive.
We are the
Uh,
first
and
and the only.
Also feel free to send the information that you had and we can send that as well to in our email on the
Okay, yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, Renee.
Cool.
Okay.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. All right, folks. Take it
Mhm,
easy. I will talk
mhm.
to you all at some point.
Yeah, see you soon.
Okay.
Talk to you
All
soon.
right.